All right, music fans, truth seekers, and free speech warriors. Welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel talking about harmless things. In fact, exercising my right to free speech. Isn't it ironic? I've got this other channel out there, got like 82,000 subs on it. Can't really use it, can upload some audio to it, and that's about it. So let's talk about free speech, shall we, in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. Now, I've been told we are now in this free speech crisis, that an authoritarian is now dictating to a private company how they should proceed. Now, keep in mind, this has nothing to do, by the way, with income, with the bottom line of that said company. It's just a coincidence how these people who are on late night TV aren't making their overlords any money. But the overlords, because they have a certain bias, take the hit financially. Now, when people are told, hey, it might be a financial reason why they're doing this, it's a free speech crisis. It's the fact that the FCC guy went out there and said some stuff he probably shouldn't have said. I will agree with that, okay? You don't threaten people and say, we're going to pull the plug on you. And that is a bit authoritarian. However, what's interesting to me isn't that. That doesn't interest me at all. I'm someone who actually experienced algorithmic censorship, along with the fact that 2 of my channels were deleted, and I only have limited access to the channel that took like 8 or 9 years to build. And why is that? Well, I started talking about something back in 2020 and 2021. All right. And by the way, these were life and death issues, and they still are today. People are still being affected by the nonsense and the censorship that was perpetrated back during that time frame, during the lockdowns, during the social distancing, during the protocols, during the QR codes, during all of that. Well, you can't go to a concert. I mean, these guys went on TV and said, hey, you might lose your job if you don't go out and do what the CDC says to do, and the safe and effective thing, and you should do the thing, and everybody should do multiple things and keep doing the thing. If you're infected, do the thing again. You're just not doing the thing enough. Keep going. Keep doing it over and over. No, that's not going to have any side effects. It's safe. It's perfectly fine. So somebody in the corner is like, hey, I get a question. How can this be safe? How is this effective? And by the way, what's in this stuff? How is it made? What are the ingredients? Oh, look, I've got a container. The label is blank. Is that censorship? That's evil censorship, because they're not even telling you what's in the stuff. So this nonsense about Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel said something. Okay, even if what he said was true, right? And people were like, that was a little harsh to say it. I don't really care. I don't really care. Here's why. Not that I don't care about Charlie Kirk. I do. And the fact that he took a fact and gaslit everyone and said, the shooter was MAGA. Okay, what if the shooter was MAGA? That, to me, is inconsequential compared to the kind of censorship that took place 4 years ago. Not even on the same plane, not even on the same continent, not even on the same planet. Seriously? Seriously. And these guys, not only did they gaslight during that time frame, they were basically bought and paid for. Remember the dancing syringes By the way, Colbert's out there too. Oh, we're all Jimmy Kimmel now. No, we're all Charlie Kirk now, you moron. I'm no Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is a putz. Didn't he dress up in blackface one time? Aren't you supposed to be completely ostracized and canceled for doing something like that? So this should have happened long ago based on their own ridiculous standards. Oh, back 30 years ago, Jimmy Kimmel dressed up in blackface. So we're just going to take him off the air and we're going to just never have him on again. That didn't happen. Why didn't that happen to him? Why didn't it? Should have, based on, again, what they normally do to people. Well, you said something a little bit racist back in 1978. What, that I didn't want a million immigrants overwhelming my country? I said that. And those immigrants were coming from one specific place. And the majority of those people represented were of one particular race of people. So that makes me, obviously, by 9 different dots, that makes me a racist. Okay, sure. You know, here's the deal. Censorship is a really bad thing, no matter where it comes from. But this is like kiddie pool censorship. This is like censorship at the kiddie pool. When we're dealing with life or death issues, that's hospital room, bedside, you're on your deathbed type of censorship. Someone comes along and says, hey, you know, we've got something that might help. Doesn't cost a lot of money. You don't have to wait for it. You don't need a rollout. They'll send it to you in the mail and you try it. It's something that has worked. It's proven effective on many other things. Nope. This is the guy who said it was horse goo. Remember? Wheezy, take the horse goo. Remember that? That's worse than any kind of censorship he is a victim of, okay? For him to say something like that, sorry, no free pass, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, how about you present both? You know why Jimmy won't ever do that? Where's the money coming from? This is so easy. This is just pharmaceutical companies, military contractors. Okay, they're basically one and the same. All of these people who advertise, well, this product has 72 side effects, but if you have diabetes, you know, this could be the only thing you can do. Don't worry about diet, exercise. Don't worry about any of that stuff. We've got the fix. We're going to fix you. And you're going to spend thousands of dollars, or your insurance company will pay for it, which is fine because it's millions of dollars going to the people who are sponsoring this show. And we'll help you out. If you don't know how to do that, we can coordinate with your insurance company and make sure everything works perfectly so we get the money. It's just like a never-ending gravy train. People wonder why insurance premiums are so high for everything. It's folks, if we're falling for the trap of one kind of censorship being the end all, well, as soon as this is speaking truth to power. Lying about Charlie Kirk is speaking truth to power. Wow, if we fall into a new low. You got to do better than that. Look, the dude, all he has to do is apologize and say, you know what? I got the facts wrong. They won't come out and say that. The affiliates have to say, we think he got the facts wrong, because all that information was already out by the time he did his stupid monologue. Well, the MAGA crowd is, they're out there saying it could be somebody on the left who did this. Okay, let's clarify. His family apparently is kind of to the right. Now, again, I think his family were normal, all right? So I'm moving the Overton window back. Normal is, I believe in biology. I believe the science isn't settled about certain things that people tell me the science is settled on. Science is typically pretty fluid. You keep doing experiments. You keep doing tests. You are always trying to prove through science And then basically, once you come to a consensus on something, and not, by the way, not a consensus of just certain people in a certain group who are protecting certain interests, like the pharmaceutical industry, like the military industrial complex. By the way, you're being gaslit on all this war that's going on, whether it's the war in Ukraine or the war in Gaza or wherever. You're gaslit. I don't agree with anybody on what they're telling you about war. War is the biggest crime against humanity. And this was probably secondary to that, because how many people did this help versus how many people this harmed? I mean, you can go and find a documentary on a different platform. I'm almost afraid to link it because I'm just, it's like once you get hit a couple of times, you say to yourself, I don't want to get hit again. I mean, I like having the channel. I like growing the audience. I want to be here for a while before, something else happens, right? I'd like to continue this, but you can do your own homework, your own. By the way, they told you this is how nuts the censorship was. Don't do your own homework. Don't do your own research. You can't trust your own research. Leave it to the experts. The experts were wrong, and they're still wrong. But these are the people who are funding the Jimmy Kimmel show and Stephen Colbert and Fallon, Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and anyone else in this space who basically think and talk and believe the same things. It's just maddening. And I'm sitting here going, really? You're going to equate lying about Charlie with free speech, and I'm comparing that to what you guys did 4 years ago. There's no comparison. What you did 4 years ago should have earned you a pink slip across the board. Everybody should have been out. There should have been alternative views. These were life or death issues. Now, Charlie's already dead, so you can't bring him back. So even if you're lying about his death, that doesn't compare to what happened to us. And by the way, what continues to happen to us in that arena? I mean, they're basically just on a daily basis, they go after RFK Jr. because he wants to take the dyes out of food and he wants to make America healthy again. God forbid. And by the way, people on the left used to agree with that stuff. What happened to them? Well, Trump just screwed them all up. Trump cures cancer? No, that sucks. We don't want a cure for cancer. Probably not, because you want to keep those pharmaceutical drugs going, right? Oh, we've got treatments, but we don't have a cure. In the other case, we had a treatment and we didn't need a cure. Not the one they were offering. Folks, this is so ass backwards. I'm sorry to use that word, but it's just true. It's just so true. And these guys are all up in arms. Oh, no, I am not Jimmy Kimmel. You know who I am? I'm my own person. I'm Harmless Dave. That's right. Not Homeless Dave, Harmless Dave. Just in case a couple of people out there wondered, because I get that sometimes. I feel politically homeless. I mean, yeah, who do I identify more with? Obviously, I identify more with the normal party. And by the way, the normal party is not on the crazy Overton window going over the cliff, far left, who just wants to argue for the sake of arguing, to gum up the works and stop any kind of progress. As a species, we don't do that stuff anymore. What we do is we come up with an idea and then somebody comes along and roadblocks it. Oh, the courts. We'll just gum it up in the courts. Oh, he wants to deport criminals? No, we can't deport criminals. Well, they're not criminals. They're law-abiding citizens. Wife beaters, drug pushers are law-abiding citizens? No. See, the free speech issue to me, this goes far beyond some stupid late-night host who thinks he's so smug. Oh, I've got a good line. I'm going to show how Trump. Yeah, was Trump's thing when we asked that question about Charlie Kirk, and he goes on to what he's building, big beautiful thing at the White House ballroom or whatever. That's typical Trump, and it's obviously a little tone deaf to the question, right? And this is why I say I don't ascribe to everything that Trump says and does is perfection. No. But you got one guy who said the border is sealed. Remember that? That the border is sealed. We don't have an immigration problem. 20 million, 30 million later. We don't have. No. So that's not lying and gaslighting. Should that be censored, by the way? No. Here's why it shouldn't be censored. Because it exposes the lie. Once you hear it, you go, yeah, they're lying. And most everybody admits that they're lying. So the Kimmel thing isn't necessarily bad because he was exposed as a liar. So let them keep talking. Bring him back. Bring Kimmel back. All right? And let him talk because they're just digging a deeper hole for themselves. If they want to make a look, there are people that hate Trump and there's a cottage industry for hating Trump. They want to make money off of hating Trump. Duh. Right? And those people, they're not going to change. They're going to buy stuff. They're going to go on there and get me that prescription that I saw on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Yeah, I want clearer skin in 10 days. That looks like it would work. It would cure me up. And then you get it and it has 72 side effects. Oh, well, at least my skin's a little clearer than it used to be. I can barely get out of this chair, but, it's worth it. It's worth it. Thank you, AstraZeneca. Good grief, people. I had to do this rant. I just turned on the TV and I saw Stephen Colbert. We're all Kimmel now. Yeah. In what world are you guys living in? You guys, you know what? You should be forced to go to a small town in like Ohio or Missouri or Alabama. You should be forced to live there for a while and meet your neighbors and hear what they really care about. I mean, that would be better than sending you guys to jail. It would be. Okay. You got to go to middle America, flyover country. You have to live there for a while and see how most people think, Jimmy and Steven and Jimmy, the other Jimmy, right? I don't mind Fallon as much because he's way more neutral and he kind of is almost in the normal party. I know he's got tendencies and everybody who runs that network, and they're all in the same boat. This is the problem. Why the heck is Greg Gutfeld number one? He's on a cable channel and he's kicking their ass. I don't know, folks. I mean, this is just self-evident stuff. People will watch me and go, I've already heard this. Smarter people than you have already made this argument. But here's the argument. The general argument from this video, and then I'm done, is that even if Kimmel was right about whoever did this, like their background, which he was wrong, even if he was right, and people came around and said, that's wrong, and it's, and they did this reverse censorship thing. Like, it's not censorship, by the way, if you're a corporation and you're saying this guy's losing us money. Again, any other job would come along and say, you're fired. You're fired because you're losing us money and you're saying things that aren't true, right? But that doesn't compare to what these people did in 2021. All right, in 2020. But when, the senile guy who couldn't walk upstairs, right? He was in charge, didn't hear a peep. Didn't hear a peep. See, this is why you need equal opportunity comedians that go after everybody. Not just, I'm definitely not in that tribe, so I can't. People would appreciate it. And the other people who are kind of neutral and don't want to have anything to do with politics would come to the conclusion that all politicians are losers, right? Which is fine, by the way. That's a good place to start because it's harder to find the good ones than to see this entire huge landscape of losers, because most of them are losers. All right. And they're all on the take. They come to Congress with no money, and then they become multimillionaires. And then they go on shows like this and they say, well, I'm doing something for the greater good. I'm going to help humanity out. Sure, you're going to help your own wallet out. You're going to become your own brand. That's what you're going to do. And none of these people are self-aware. They just think, oh, there's a group of people that think like us. And so we need to put the fence around that. It's some kind of wall that if you go over it and you see what's actually going on over there, you're like, these people have no idea what I go through. They are not for me. They are for themselves. And they are for elite people who cannot relate, won't relate, and think we're all a bunch of rubes out here. We're the plebes. We're just, what are we? Let them eat cake. We're the let them eat cake crowd. Anyway, folks, it's an abomination that what these people did to us was never reconciled. Nothing ever came from the lies, the deceit, the misinformation, and you could tell where all this was coming from. All you got to do is go find the dancing syringes video and watch that. The vax scene? Yeah, man. Have you seen what's going on with the vax scene? Yeah, it's really hip and cool out there. Dancing around, dancing syringes, and donuts for everybody. Free beer. I think they were offering free beer at one point, right? Yeah, you're going to need to get drunk after you do that. How about a case? How about an endless supply? So I can completely numb my senses. And that'll be a good way to go out, right? And then they could say, well, it wasn't the super safe and effective product that did him in. No, it was the fact that he drank himself to death. Why do you think depression is through the roof right now? I have a friend who is healthier than me, exercises, is a gym rat, and he just had to have quadruple bypass surgery. Why is that? Super healthy dude. I mean, his weight is, I don't know, he's probably like 165 or something. Not an ounce of body fat on the dude. Quadruple, oh, it's hereditary, Dave. It's genetic. Okay. A lot of this stuff started happening fairly recently, but you can't say that. You can't talk about that. You can't investigate it. You can't drill down a little bit deeper into that. No. Because then people start to think for themselves and go, wait a minute, maybe there's a connection here. RFK kind of lets out just a tiny little detail of this, and people go crazy. Lifelong liberal, by the way, RFK Jr., lifelong. Doesn't agree with Trump on a lot of things, but said, you know what? If I can make America healthy again, sign me up. Sign me up. I'll be a part of this administration. And man, we're going to lose the coalition at some point. We're going to lose it because they're going to find ways to just embarrass people, go after their, all of a sudden now they'll go after their moral character, which is hilarious. These people have no moral character, but they'll go after someone because, you know what? We're going to bring them down. They're not very Christian. I get that too. That's not very Bible. That's not very Christian-like to be so mean. Yes, because Christianity is only the religion of nice. I've done this video too. It's the religion of nice. You're not nice, then you can't be a Christian if you're not nice. Jesus wasn't always nice, all right? Just saying. Some things that happen in the scriptures, not always nice. You know, if you want to make it into the religion of nice, that's good for you, but that's not what it's about. It just isn't. And, you know, I've got evolving thoughts on the state of Christianity, especially in the last 2 weeks. I mean, people use it for certain political means. People forget the core message of what it's supposed to be about. But then on the other end of the spectrum, it's like morality doesn't matter either. And it's just about the message, and it's not about what has really influenced and changed the planet for 2,000 years. Yeah. I mean, it's both. It's a liberating message, but it's also something that is supposed to restrain evil. It's supposed to. Maybe it's just too dark. Maybe evil is overcoming, the light. And if that's the case, then Jesus can come back at any moment, and it would make complete sense if that's what's going to happen. So again, I apologize. I'm kind of all over the place on this. The censorship, though, if you're going to be upset about that kind of censorship, and yes, I don't think the FCC should be picking winners or making threats or doing any of that. I don't, although I could see why they would, why they'd say something, but probably they shouldn't. Let the free market do it, because the free market is already speaking very loudly. With that said, though, compared to the kind of censorship, the life or death issue censorship that occurred in 2020 through maybe 2023 and into, well, really up until Biden was booted out or lost, or actually it was Kamala, sorry, but it's the same thing. If you're gonna conflate those two things, and you've got a real problem, at least with me. Not with anyone else, but at least with me. Some people haven't picked up on this, and a few have, and said, you've got to be kidding me. You guys you're outraged over that, but you're not outraged over the fact that many people's lives were changed forever. And many people are living with something, or many people aren't living anymore. You're a conspiracy theorist. This is just a coincidence. And not everything is, this is what I get all the time. Not everything is caused by that. No. Healthy guy who works out, triple, quadruple bypass. Yeah, it's just normal. Well, it's hereditary. It's genetic. Yeah, if you have a genetic predisposition for something, and then you add something to that to amplify that, then that's what could be happening. But we're not going to do any research. We're reporters for major news networks with huge budgets. We're not going to look into that. In fact, we're going to find ways to look away from that. We're going to find creative ways to just block this information, or just, it's what I used to call reporting by omission. I used to go, how come they're not talking about this stuff? Well, it's obvious. They don't want to lose their advertisers. So that's it. And it's ideological. Well, those people over there can't be right because they're crazy conspiracy theorists. So it's a combination of things. I mean, will the truth ever make a huge comeback? I don't know. I hear a lot of your truth versus my truth, his truth, your truth. No, truth is truth. Charlie Kirk's truth was truth. He spoke the truth in love, by the way. He was gentle. He was meek. He wasn't hitting people over the head. He argued with people who were hostile, and he just sat there, listened, and then gave his point of view. Unlike these people who think they're right and they're smug and arrogant and judgmental. Anyway, I could go on, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll do another video, but I think this one is enough for now. God bless everyone. Look, the message about Jesus, I typically end with Jesus, and I know that ticks people off. Jesus isn't looking for perfect people. In fact, he's pursuing sinners, okay? It says in the Bible, yet while we were still sinners, Jesus found us. And he doesn't let go of us. When he finds us, he keeps us. It's up to us, though, to say yes. That's all we have to do, is say, yes, I believe, I have faith, I trust. It's a pretty good deal, right? You're not going to find a better deal than that. And that's really the gospel. The gospel is about grace. The gospel isn't about what you do. The gospel is about what Jesus already did. All right? So there you have it. I'm going to go take some pharmaceutical products. Kidding. I'm kidding. Maybe a melatonin or something. Probably need maybe some valerian root. Yeah. Pharmaceutical companies hate those things because those aren't big pharma drugs. So Anyone can buy them and they're not expensive. That's the story of everything. Once you find something that's an alternative and it's not expensive, then Big Pharma has to basically gaslight whatever that is and tell you it's unsafe, it's horse goo. Don't touch the horse goo.